The political arena is no stranger to unexpected drama, but few events can match the level of bewilderment displayed by former President Donald Trump during his recent visit to Florida. At a rally organized in Doral, Florida, Trump aimed to energize Latino voters and defend his shrinking influence in the state. What was meant to be a show of strength, however, quickly devolved into a series of embarrassing gaffes, missteps, and off-the-cuff remarks that left the audience confused and questioning his preparedness. As Trump hosted what was dubbed a Latino roundtable, the former president seemed to lose track of his surroundings, failing to recognize individuals around him and struggling to find his footing in the conversation. Adding to the surreal nature of the event, his comments on renewable energy and solar power took a bizarre turn when he referenced rabbits supposedly getting caught in solar fields. Trump's handling of basic policy questions left many wondering whether he had a coherent vision for the future. This moment marked yet another episode in a long series of questionable public appearances by the former president, offering a window into his increasingly erratic public behavior as the 2024 election cycle intensifies. In this video, we will delve into the details of the event, analyzing the significant moments of confusion, exploring the reactions from attendees and critics alike, and placing this latest blunder within the broader context of Trump's political legacy. 1. The rally begins. A Latino outreach effort gone awry. Donald Trump's rally in Florida began with much fanfare as the former president sought to regain lost ground in a state that has been crucial to his political success in the past. Florida has historically been a battleground for presidential candidates, and Trump's decision to organize a Latino roundtable was part of his strategy to solidify support within the Latino community, a demographic that has played an increasingly significant role in American politics. However, from the outset, the event seemed poorly organized. Trump appeared confused, looking around the room as he tried to find individuals he had invited to speak. One of the most telling moments came when Trump asked aloud, "Where is Christie? Is she around?" unaware that Christie was sitting right beside him. The awkward exchange was caught on camera and quickly went viral, with social media users pointing to the incident as yet another example of Trump's detachment from the details of his own events. As Trump stumbled through introductions, it became clear that he was struggling to maintain focus. The former president, who once prided himself on his ability to connect with crowds and project strength, seemed disoriented and out of touch with the proceedings. This moment set the tone for the rest of the rally, where confusion would reign supreme. 2. Trump's solar energy remarks, misguided and misleading. One of the most bizarre segments of the rally occurred when Trump was asked a question about renewable energy, specifically solar power. His response was, to say the least, perplexing. Trump described a solar field he had supposedly seen, claiming it looked like it took up half the desert. He further stated that solar fields are made up of steel, glass, and wires, and that they all look like hell. But perhaps the strangest part of his commentary was his claim that rabbits get caught in it, a statement that left many scratching their heads. This offbeat anecdote about solar power quickly drew criticism from environmental experts and advocates. While it is true that large-scale solar installations can have environmental impacts, Trump's characterization of them as rabbit traps bordered on the absurd. His preference for traditional energy sources like oil and gas was made clear when he emphasized that the United States has natural gas right under the ground and advocated for more drilling, rather than investing in renewable energy infrastructure. The disconnect between Trump's views on energy and the global push towards sustainability was stark. His dismissal of solar power as impractical and harmful reflected his broader skepticism of renewable energy, despite the growing evidence of its economic and environmental benefits. Moreover, Trump's comments seemed to ignore the fact that solar energy is one of the fastest-growing industries in the world, providing jobs and reducing carbon emissions. 3. The collapse of Trump's policy rhetoric, an incoherent economic vision. As the rally progressed, it became increasingly apparent that Trump was ill-prepared to engage with policy questions in any meaningful way. When asked about his economic plan, Trump's response was to harken back to a romanticized version of America's past, referencing the 1890s, a time before the income tax system was introduced in the U.S. Trump's nostalgia for a time when we had so much money, we didn't know how to spend it, reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of modern economic realities. His fixation on the past, while appealing to a certain segment of his base, offers little in the way of practical solutions to the pressing economic challenges of today. The global economy is more interconnected and complex than ever before, and the idea that America can simply return to a bygone era of prosperity is both unrealistic and misleading. Critics have long pointed out that Trump's economic policies, which focus heavily on deregulation and tax cuts for the wealthy, do little to address the growing inequality in the country. His rally comments did nothing to dispel these concerns, as he offered no concrete proposals for how he would improve the lives of everyday Americans. Instead, Trump leaned on his well-worn slogans of "drill, baby, drill" and "cut taxes," without offering any new or substantive ideas. 4. An unfocused message: the rambling responses to immigration and energy. Perhaps one of the most concerning aspects of Trump's rally was his inability to stay on topic. When asked about fracking, a hot-button issue in the energy debate, Trump responded with the nonsensical phrase, "frack, frack, frack," like a duck. The crowd's confused reaction was telling, as many seemed unsure whether Trump was making a joke or if he had simply lost track of his thoughts. This was not an isolated incident. Throughout the rally, Trump's responses to questions about immigration, renewable energy, and other key issues were rambling and incoherent. When asked about the role of solar power, Trump pivoted to a bizarre story about military-style weapons being used by migrants in Venezuela. These types of off-the-cuff remarks, which have become a hallmark of Trump's speaking style, undermine his credibility as a serious political figure. For many observers, Trump's inability to articulate clear policy positions raises questions about his fitness to lead. While his supporters may appreciate his unscripted approach, the lack of substance in his remarks is increasingly difficult to ignore, especially as the 2024 election draws closer. 5. Polling panic: Trump's desperate attempts to regain control. Behind Trump's erratic behavior lies a deeper issue: the fear of losing. Recent polls have shown a steady rise in support for Vice President Kamala Harris, particularly in key battleground states like Florida and Georgia. Trump's return to Florida was a direct response to these polling numbers, as he sought to defend his once stronghold against a Democratic surge. According to a Morning Consult poll, Harris was leading Trump by 4 points in Florida, a significant margin in a state known for its tight elections. This trend was reflected in other surveys as well, with Reuters' Ipsos showing a similar 3-point lead for Harris. Perhaps most striking was a poll from the Carolina Journal, which placed Harris 6 points ahead in Georgia, a state that had been a Republican stronghold for decades. Faced with these troubling numbers, Trump's campaign appeared to be in full panic mode. The Florida rally was a clear attempt to shore up support among Latino voters, but the disjointed nature of the event only added to the sense of desperation surrounding his campaign. Trump's inability to stay focused on key issues, coupled with his increasingly erratic behavior, raised serious concerns about his ability to mount a successful comeback. 6. Eminem joins the campaign trail, a star-studded Democratic rally. While Trump was floundering in Florida, the Harris campaign was gaining momentum with a high-profile rally in Detroit. In a move that signaled the campaign's growing confidence, rapper Eminem was announced as the opening act for the event, where he was set to introduce former President Barack Obama. Eminem's involvement in the campaign added a level of excitement and star power that contrasted sharply with Trump's chaotic rally in Florida. The Detroit rally highlighted the energy and enthusiasm surrounding the Harris campaign, particularly in urban areas like Detroit, where voter turnout has been historically high. As early voting numbers began to roll in, it became clear that Democratic voters were highly motivated, especially in key swing states like Michigan and Georgia. For Trump, The contrast between his struggling campaign and Harris's surging support was stark. While Trump was grappling with gaffes and disorganized events, the Harris campaign was building a broad coalition of supporters, from grassroots activists to major celebrities like Eminem. The momentum appeared to be shifting decisively in Harris's favor, leaving Trump scrambling to regain control of the narrative. 7. Conspiracies and lies. The return of election misinformation. As the rally in Florida drew to a close, Trump and his supporters began to fall back on familiar tactics, spreading baseless conspiracy theories about voter fraud. In a move reminiscent of the 2020 election, Trump claimed that dead people were voting and that there was widespread fraud in key swing states like Florida and Georgia. These unfounded claims were quickly debunked by fact-checkers, but that did little to stop Trump's supporters from amplifying the misinformation. Trump's strategy of sowing doubt about the election process has been a hallmark of his political career, and it appears that he is once again leaning on these tactics in the lead-up to the 2024 election. For many Americans, Trump's continued reliance on falsehoods and conspiracy theories is deeply troubling. The damage to public trust in the electoral process, which began with Trump's refusal to accept the results of the 2020 election, has only deepened in recent years. Trump's rhetoric about rigged elections has already led to violence and unrest, and there are concerns that his actions could incite further division as the 2024 election approaches. Donald Trump's rally in Florida was meant to be a show of strength, a reminder of his enduring influence among conservative voters. Instead, it exposed the deep flaws in his campaign strategy and raised serious questions about his ability to mount a successful bid for the presidency in 2024. From his confusing remarks about solar power to his incoherent responses on immigration and energy, Trump's performance was a far cry from the polished and focused campaign events of his earlier political career. As Trump's polling numbers continue to slide and his public appearances become increasingly erratic, the future of his political career remains uncertain. While his base of loyal supporters remains strong, the broader electorate appears to be growing weary of his divisive rhetoric and disorganized campaign.